This new thing has come along, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Instead of bringing another memory expert on the show today and asking them, hey, other memory expert, what do you think about remembering names? How do you do it? I'm going to bring in a robot. I'm going to bring in a robot to the show and ask them what they think about remembering names, and then we'll have a dialogue here. Memory expert to artificial intelligence, how to remember names. So everybody, please welcome to the show, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. All right, hey, welcome to the show. So I'm going to just start off by asking you a question, artificial intelligence. Whatever you say, and I genuinely don't know what you're going to say, I'm going to respond to it here with our audience. So, how to remember names. Look at this. Okay, wow, they get a lot. Okay, let's dive into what our guest says. First of all, our guest says, remembering names can be a challenging task. That is true. But there are a few strategies that you can improve your ability to recall names. And this gives us a bullet pointed list here. Number one, this is according to ChatGPT artificial intelligence. Repeat the name. One of the simplest ways to remember someone's name is to repeat it several times. When you introduce to someone, repeat their name back, such as, nice to meet you, Sarah. This will help reinforce the name in your memory. This is true. This is true. There's no doubt about it that it's true. But I rely on it less for the reasons ChatGPT is suggesting here. So it says repeat the name. Here's the deal. If you're like, nice to meet you, Sarah. It's good to meet you, Sarah. Can I get you a cup of coffee, Sarah? By the way, Sarah, how's your day going? It's going to be a little too awkward if you overuse this, okay? I think that goes for saying. I don't repeat the name so much to memorize the name. I am repeating the name because I want to make sure I got it right. Happens all the time. I met a woman last night. She said her name was Eva. And I said, oh, Ava? She says, no, Eva. And I said, Eva? She said, no, Eva. But I was repeating it until I got it right. So I do think you should repeat the name. It does help with the memory a little bit, but I think it's more important to just clarify it, know that you got it right. That's step point number one. Number two, AI, artificial intelligence, says use associations. This is AI talking, not me. It says, try to associate the person's name with something you already know. I agree with this. For example, and by the way, the point of this interview is not to see if AI is right or if I'm right, or it's just to get a different perspective, For example, if someone says their name is Mike, try to think of a famous person named Mike, Mike Tyson or Mike Pence, or associate that word with something that rhymes with it, like bike, Mike, bike. Fair enough. I'll be honest with you on this one. I don't like the Mike Tyson, Mike Pence as much as I like bike. Here's why. Bike is a concrete noun. It's an image. If I met a person named Mike and I thought, oh, okay, I'll remember this because they're a famous boxer, Mike Tyson. Well, they go through and I see them 6 weeks later. I remember they were a famous boxer, but was it Evander Holyfield? Was it Buster Douglas? Or was it Mike Tyson? You get the problem with that? If you say, I remember this person because it's a famous actor from the TV show Friends, and then you see him again, you remember it was one of the actors from Friends, but maybe you don't remember which one. That's why I try not to remember people to remember other people. But if I use bike for Mike, and then I visualize them riding a bike, I think that's good. Now, the important thing here on this is if you do determine that Mike is a bike, always use that one. Don't switch it up. Mike is always a bike. Not just this mic, but every mic is a bike, or whatever you determine. I actually use a microphone for Mike. So I have a little bit of pushback there with ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. But again, do what works for you. Do what works for you. I'm telling you what works for me and why I don't do it. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm telling you why I don't do it. Number three, create a visual image. Try to create a mental image of the person you met and associate it with their name. For example, if you meet someone named Katie, imagine her with a cat. I think that's exactly what it just said in point number two here. But this is being more to my point of creating a concrete noun. Katie is a cat. Mike is a bike. Steve is a stove. Lisa's the Mona Lisa. Karen is a carrot. I totally agree with it. Ask for clarifications. Point number four. If you're not sure you heard someone's name correctly, don't be afraid to ask them to repeat it. Asking for clarification can be much better than guessing and getting it wrong. Exactly. That's exactly what I said on point number one. That's why you should repeat the name. Clarification. Look at this. ChatGPT and I, we're not in an argument here. We're reinforcing what each other is saying, just in different ways. So I agree. Number 5, keep practicing. Yes, this is crucial. Let me read point number 5, and I'm going to tell you how I practiced. Remember, names takes practice. So the more you work on it, the better you will become. Make it a habit of repeating names when you meet new people and try to recall them later when you have time for yourself. This is huge, guys. Keep practicing. I am almost 50 years old. Can you believe that? I'm almost 50 years old. Oh my God, I can't even believe I'm still alive. I started memorizing names at conferences when I was 19 years old. 31 years. Here's what I did. That first meeting I walked into 31 years ago. I said, hi, my name's Ron. I'm the memory guy. And he said, hi, my name is Steve. And I imagined a stove on his face. I went to the next guy, got his name. The next guy got his name. And then I stopped. I only asked 3 people in that meeting. There was only 5 in the meeting. I only asked 3 people their names because I was not confident that as the memory guy, I could remember all 5 names. And I was there to sell them on memory training and how it could change their life. But I was still a student. I was still learning it myself. And I was honest with them about that. I said, guys, look, I'm just learning this. I'm only going to try 3 names right here, but this is how I'm going to do it. I think I can keep getting better and better, and I think you can too. Do you want to buy the course? 3 of them ended up buying the course. I don't remember if it was the 3 that I remembered their names or not. That would be an interesting thing to remember, but I do remember it was 3. I do remember it was 3. Here's the deal, though. I kept practicing. I'm getting ready to speak at a conference next week, and there's 250 people. I told them up front, I'm going to try to memorize every single person's name as they walk in the room. What? I'm going to try to memorize every single all 250. And I think I'm going to get, normally I'll get about 96, 95, 98% right. I went from memorizing 3 to 250. How? Practice. But here's why you're able to speed up the process of remembering names, because you meet a Catherine or a Katie and you think, okay, Katie's going to be a cat. Mike is going to be a bike. Steve is going to be a stove. Well, the next time you go to the next meeting, you have a Mike and a Steve and a Katie. Well, you already got the pictures created because you created them at the last meeting for those names. You might even get a journal and write out in that journal, Mike is a microphone, Steve is a stove, Lisa's the Mona Lisa. I got a baby name book, you know, like a suggested names for babies. And I just went through that and I wrote my images for the names in the margin. It was a great exercise on turning names into pictures. So keep practicing. Number 6, focus. This is huge. This is huge. This is huge. I'm getting so excited here. Focus. When you meet someone, give them your full attention and concentrate on their name. Listen actively and try to commit the name to memory. Guys, this is so important. You meet somebody and they say, hi, my name is Brian. And 2 seconds later, you don't know their name. It's not a memory problem. It's impossible to hear a name and forget it 2 seconds later. The reason you're not remembering the name is because your memory is bad. The reason you don't remember the name 2 seconds later, it's because your focus is bad. You're not paying attention. You're not listening. You're thinking, what do they think of me? What do I think of them? Have I seen them before? What business deals are we going to do? You're not paying attention. You're not focused. Try this. The next time you walk into a situation and you're getting ready to meet somebody that you don't know before, as you're walking towards them, ask yourself the question, what is their name? 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 Why should you do that? It focuses your brain. Forcing your brain to focus is a strong key to memory, and I'm so glad they put this here. Take notes. If you're new at networking or a meeting, many new people take notes with their names and a brief description of who they are. I agree with that. Get yourself a names journal and you go to a networking event or a meeting, write down everybody that you met, and maybe write out Steve. He had big ears, and I was imagining a stove on his ears. Lisa had pretty eyes, and the Mona Lisa was in her eyes. Katie had pretty hair. There was a cat in her hair. So maybe take notes. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not cheating. You know what, in this day and age, what you could do? You could go on Facebook or LinkedIn and get their pictures, get their profile picture, and create a PowerPoint of people that you met. Put their name below their picture and review that PowerPoint every now and then. Use context. Try to remember the name in context in which you met them. For example, if you met someone at a conference, think about the conference. That's true. When I am driving down the road and I see a restaurant, I ask myself, who did I meet at that restaurant? When I go by the bank building, who was it at the bank building that I met? I'm using context to help my review. Repeat the name silently. This is huge. As you're walking away, as you're at the party, you're at the get-together, you're looking over there, and you see them over there, and just repeat the name silently to yourself, review it. Oh, that's that person, that's Steve, that's Lisa, that's Karen, that's Brian, that's Mike, that's Jason, that's Shane. Review as you're at the party silently to yourself, or the networking event or business meeting, whatever it is, the conference. Number 10, practice mindfulness. When you meet someone new, try to be present and focused in the moment. Avoid distractions and give that person your full attention. This is huge. This is just like point number 6. They said focus. Be in the moment. Be in the moment. Eckhart Tolle wrote a book, The Power of Now. And it's such a powerful book. If you've never read The Power of Now, you should get that book or listen to the audiobook. That's how I consumed it, by audio. Mindfulness, the power of now, being all there. You will remember more. So those are the 10 points that our guest today, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, said on how to remember names. I gave you my feedback, but in conclusion, let's review. Repeat the name. Use associations. Mike is Mike Tyson or Mike is a bike. Create a visual image. Katie is a cat. I like this better because it's a noun, going from concrete nouns instead of people. Ask for clarification. Absolutely. Make sure you get it right. Keep practicing. Point number 5. Number 6, focus. Ask yourself, what is their name? What is their name? Number 7, take notes. I think that's great. Create a names journal. 8, use context. Repeat the name silently. Yeah, absolutely. As you're at the meeting or you're at the networking event, look over there and repeat the names. And then finally, practice mindfulness. So these are all wonderful skills on how to remember names. I have a memory course called Black Belt Memory. Black Belt Memory teaches you how to improve your memory. And I have a free gift for you. Click the link down below. Get my free gift, my Black Belt Memory gift on improving your memory. I appreciate all the likes. I appreciate all the thumbs up. Comment below. Here's a question. I want to ask you a question. Comment below with your answer. Comment below. How many names could you memorize in 15 minutes? I will put my answer down below in the comments because I've done this at the USA Memory Championship. But comment down below, how many names could you memorize in 15 minutes? After you comment below with your answer, I want you to click the link and get my Black Belt Memory free gift and maybe even get the course at blackbeltmemory.com. It's down below. Comment down below, how many names could you memorize in 15 minutes? I'll see you on the next video.